fame itself can become an addiction. And I think we're all susceptible to wanting praise and adoration. But when that becomes your livelihood, things can get confusing, right? And if you're not being praised and adored and vaunted, then maybe you're not making a living. So it gets intertwined, and that can be sticky. But I also feel of famous people in recovery that they are the bravest, because it's hard to talk about these things, whether or not you look at addiction as a disease or a choice or weakness. It's not a choice, but it's, having addiction is hard. It is shameful. Nobody gets sober because everything was peachy. And so to sometimes have had those kind of flame outs in public and then have to get sober and rectify it in public, that's challenging. And to do it with your head held high and with honesty, I have a lot of respect for the celebs that come on my show to talk about what they've been through.
Welcome to Limitless, the podcast for cycle breakers, change makers, and conscious leaders who are done performing, proving, and pleasing, and are ready to live, lead, and create from deep alignment. I'm your host, Fiona Walsh. Every 2 weeks, I hold space for real soul-expanding conversations with guests who are still in it. They're navigating their biggest fears, shedding old identities, letting go of patterns that no longer serve them, and rising into their limitless potential. Together, we share what it's really like to be human, messy, raw, imperfect, and learning to own every part of ourselves, even the ones we've tried to keep neatly tucked away. We go deep into the work of coming home to yourself, getting out of your head, feeling safe in your body, letting go of old stories, and creating a life that's true to who you really are. Subscribing to Limitless is the best way to make sure you never miss an episode. So hit pause and tap follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Because this isn't about doing more. It's actually about remembering who you are. And that's what makes you limitless. Welcome to Limitless. Today's guest is someone who spent decades on the other side of the microphone, known for her down-to-earth interviews with celebrities across the US. But over the last decade, Cat Greenleaf has undergone a quiet, powerful transformation, and one that didn't play out on camera or in the public eye. She's 12 years sober and now deeply anchored in her inner work. Cat has shifted from interviewer to truth teller. After years of staying silent about her own recovery, she's now the host of Soberness, a podcast where she brings humor, heart, and unflinching honesty to conversations about addiction, identity, and healing, often with public figures who are navigating their own sober journeys. In this conversation today, we explore what happens when the coping mechanisms that had once helped us survive begin to cost us our peace and our life, and how recovery in all its forms can become a portal to deeper self-trust, spiritual reconnection, and a different kind of freedom. This is exactly the kind of transformation I support inside my one-on-one coaching containers through the Inner Freedom Method, helping high achievers just like you shift out of old identity loops and feeling stuck and into a life that's led by truth and honesty and not proving or performing. If you're in the swirl of quiet burnout, inner conflict, or you're on your own journey of sobriety and evolution, I hope that Cat's story gives you permission to pause, reflect, and ask, what's really running your life? And what might it look like to live differently? We also talk about the illusion of control, the ache of not belonging, and the subtle but persistent pull to finally come home to ourselves. Let's dive in. Well, welcome to Limitless, Cat. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much for welcoming me. It's an honor.
Okay, wonderful. Well, let's get straight into it. Can you take us back to that moment in time, that pivot point or turning point moment where you were like, oh my God, something's got to change. Just take us back to that moment. Where were you at? Paint the picture.
So I was 40 years old and I didn't want to go through a day without drinking alcohol. And I had 2 little kids. My littlest guy was still in the Bjorn, and all I wanted to do with my day was drink. And I looked at these 2 kids, and I adopted both my children, which is, talk about an honor. I mean, so God and a couple of other women gave me everything I'd ever wanted. And I thought, well, what an ungrateful bitch I would be to just drink it away. And I knew I had to stop. I'd been drinking for 30 years, so it wasn't going to be easy. But I was walking over the Brooklyn Bridge for a diabetes walk, and my son was in the pouch, and I was so hurting. I was hurting from the night before. I was really in pain after going out, and I thought, I just can't keep living like this. And so the very next day, I was seated next to a person at a wedding, and I saw him order seltzer. And I just knew that when you're a punk rock guy with tattoos and you order seltzer, that means you're sober. And so I asked him all about it, and that was it. That was the last drink I had.
Oh, wow. So like 10 years ago now?
12 years ago.
12 years ago. Sorry,
so yeah, 12 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. And at that, back at that time, at that table with that guy, did you even have a glimpse of what you desired your life to be like?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I was always impressed with people who had the discipline not to drink and who had the lightness to enjoy an experience without being inebriated. Yeah. I love being inebriated. I love it. I love everything about it. I love everything about it until it's over. And then I have apologies to beg. And then I don't feel well. And then I have lots of regret. So that feels awful. So I knew I wanted a life without all that regret. I knew I wanted a life where I wasn't dependent on something else to have fun and to laugh and to be easy. And the people I knew who had that were people who were sober for the most part, because they had been in the trenches and climbed their way out. And so they had this experience to stand on. And I wanted that.
Okay. And so when did you start drinking? Was it when you were quite young?
Yes, when I was about 12.
Oh, okay,
I started drinking about 12, yeah. What happened was, as a young person, I was very open, right? I felt everything. I saw everything. And as a real empath, I was pretty spiritually plugged in from the time I was very young. And that was not well accepted in my community, in my home. And that was sort of isolating. And, I think, I don't know about in Canada, but here in the States, like 60% of people are on SSRIs, and everybody needs something. Not everybody needs something, but a lot of people need things to regulate, to balance, to get through the day. And this was how I just did it. I just reached for alcohol because I thought it would help me feel better. And it did. I loved it. The first second it hit my tongue, I was like, oh, where have you been? This is the answer. This will help me muddle through. And it did, until it didn't.
Yeah. And so, like, paint the picture for me, you're a 12-year-old, so you're quite intuitive, feeling a lot of things. So you're hypersensitive probably to your surroundings, the emotions around you. What was your home life like? Was it chaos or was it calm?
Good question. No, it was not chaos. Like every home, parents and children don't see eye to eye. Children and children don't see eye to eye. It's funny, my sister's adopted, and I was desperate to be adopted. I thought, oh my God, I must be adopted too, because I just don't relate. And that's really sad. Now that I am a mom, I bet that was really hard for my parents, actually. They saw me not feeling a part of the family, and I bet that was hard. And that, so there were a lot of dynamics at work that I wasn't aware of. But, in support of my family, I'll say, I don't think we were any crazier or more fucked up than anyone else's family, but this is how it worked out for me, And so, And so my sister and I actually together raided the liquor cabinet. And we found this. My parents didn't drink at all, so they had alcohol in there from a million parties left over, and so there was plenty. And she and I made ourselves welcome there, and we would fill tumblers up with wine. And my jug of choice is like more. I'll just take more of whatever you got, and if it's bad for me, I'll take double more. And so that kicked in pretty quickly and took flight very easily. And so instantly, there was a lot of like hiding. My sister and I were hiding. And when do we get to drink again? Isn't this cool? And it's sort of fun being bad. Again, pretty standard kid stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm such an extremist that I had to take it to the fullest extent. And I did. And I don't know if I've ever just had a couple drinks. I've always drank to excess. It's just how I'm built.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you remember the first time you drank? Was it a real buzz in your body? Is that what
Yes.
the more and more came from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the way I think about any mind altering substance, for me, it's like a shield between me and the world. It's like the skin that I didn't feel like I had otherwise. And so it left me feeling less vulnerable and open to things.
Yeah. Yeah. And have you done like work to trace back to where this story of like not feeling like you belonged in your family originated from? Because usually it's littler than, a young teenager.
Yes. Yes. Besides the foundational belief that I didn't feel like I belonged, which I'm now realizing most people come with that. Most people come to this planet with, I always felt on the outside looking in. I've never really heard anyone say it. I really knew I was on the inside looking out. I think just being a human on the planet, we do feel kind of
human
separate,
experience
right?
stuff, yeah.
Yes. Yes. So besides that, I remember very clearly at 7 years old, my grandmother passed away, and she started communicating to me. And that was very normal to me and very not normal to the rest of the world. And that's where the divide kicked in. And that chasm left a space that I really needed to fill up. And that's what alcohol did.
Yeah. And that's fascinating. So did you keep your intuitive channel on, or did you switch it off? Because so many kids shut it down because it wasn't safe to have that open.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
I shut it down. And
then alcohol probably helped shut it down too.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. And then I remember very clearly the night that it kicked back up. I was about to start my junior year of college, and I was with a girlfriend, and she was telling me her origin story, the most important story in her life. And as she was talking, the whole room filled with light, energy, like a marigold color. And I was like, what is going on? I need to know more. And that started it back again. And so little by slowly, I was able to open back up. It took a long time, actually. And now I sort of live comfortably between the worlds.
Yeah. How did it, when you first got sober, did you notice your intuition come back on hard and fast then, or did it was it like a transitional sort of time?
Oh, that's a great question.
Do you remember?
Yeah. So I think it took a minute. Don't forget, I had 2 little kids, a few big jobs, couple households. There was a lot to fill the space. Yeah. It wasn't until I lost my job at the end of 2017 that everything got really quiet, and I was able to focus in on that. Not even able to, it just sort of started happening more and more. And so my family made some changes. We moved out to the beach, which is just ground zero for spiritual living. I mean, it's I feel very accompanied by the ocean and very helped by the ocean. I'm sure coming out of my mouth, that sounds really woo-woo, but that is how it feels. And so it's so lovely to be living in a way that felt very comfortable to me as a little kid. And now I'm back to that. And it does feel a bit like a homecoming.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I feel like people describe the ocean and also if they live close to like the forest because they're both natural regulators as well. So in terms of like not just spiritual connection, if you're not into that, we know that they actually help regulate our nervous system, which makes you feel calmer and grounded and all of the things.
Yeah, I mean, what it really makes me feel is grateful. We've lived here now coming up on 8 years, and I'm still, all I say is, can you believe it? Guys, can't believe we live here. Can you believe we live here? Like, I can't believe we live here. You know, I can't believe we get to be with the ocean so much. I don't even say I live on the water. I live with the water. It's my constant companion, you know, and that's, it's a very lucky thing.
Yeah. I feel very much the same. Like where I live, we're on the edge of the forest and we have water at the end of our street. And it's like, look, and I come from Australia, which is an incredible country. And everyone's like, are you ever coming back? And I'm like, I don't know. We live in this pocket of North Vancouver, which is like pure magic. I don't like, it's hard to
give that up.
It's hard to give it up. So I'm grateful as well. Don't take it for granted ever.
Right.
Even in the pouring rain like it is right now.
Oh, is it pouring rain? Oh, my favorite is the pouring rain.
Like we're in the horrible part of our winter at the moment where it just rains every day. I'm curious about you mentioned before, like it was sort of fun. And I heard this sort of teenage energy coming through, you know, like sneaking behind your parents' back and the secrets and all that sort of stuff. How did that evolve over the years? Because I know that part of the getting stuck in secrets and the shame attached to that is one of the biggest sort of traps that people are scared to leave behind, like with addiction of different sorts. I'm wondering how that sort of evolved over the years from that teenage energy to like grown-up secrets.
Well, I believe everybody is entitled to their secrets. So I don't think we have to tell everybody everything, and which is different than being dishonest, right?
Yeah.
Like, there are things, even though my husband and I are so close, there are things that I like to keep sacred
Close
that are just mine.
Yep.
Thoughts, dreams, even, you know, getting Botox. I didn't want to tell him in the beginning. That was my secret. But now, anyways, the point is, I believe that secrets are okay. You don't want to be as sick as your secrets, right? So it's like, I'm not snorting lines in the bathroom. That's not a good secret for me. That would be a bad secret. And so I do, however, like to do bad things. Still like to do bad things. I still like the rush of keeping a secret. I still like the rush of thinking I'm living some sort of a moment that isn't open to the whole world. By the way, social media and phones and everything has made it almost impossible to have secrets or a secret life. Or one of the things that used to thrill me as a younger person when I would move, I lived around the world a little bit. I love thinking I've just been dropped in the middle of this country, and what if I never went home? What if I just changed my name? What if I didn't keep up with that same old personality? You can't do that anymore because everything follows you, you know? And I think there's a downside to that. For example, I really wanted to be in a band after college. And so when I moved to San Francisco and I told everyone, yes, I'm a singer in a band, which I wasn't. But the more I said it, and then we formed a band, and then I was. And I think there's something to be said for that, you know, by creating your own, you know, if you speak it into existence or whatever. But now, if I said I'm a singer in a band, somebody would just look me up and go, you're not a singer in a band. I don't see anything here on your Instagram about being a singer in a band. So I think it's a little bit of a downside of the phones and having everything follow you everywhere is that you can no longer have secrets or make up new personalities if you want.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really fascinating your like take on, because I think people define secrets in different ways. And I always would think that they're like secrets, like they're naughty or there's something I've done wrong, rather than something that I just want to keep near and dear to me and not share with others. So it's really interesting, just the definition we both have around secret. Just blew my mind the way you defined it. I'm like, oh my God, I've got a completely definition in my mind, which is why conversations like this are really important to have, because I always saw them as negative, whereas you can see them, there's some positive sides to them of like, I want to keep this close to me because it's my dream or my secret dream, which is like
Yeah. There's value
100%.
there.
There's nothing negative about that. And don't think I would have used it in that way before. So I appreciate your perspective
cool.
so much. So like little light bulbs were going off for me.
Good. Isn't it fun having these, I've been doing a bunch of these podcasts with people I don't know, and I love it so much getting to learn from really interesting, smart, funny people like yourself.
Yeah. Well, because I feel like with secrets, the shame attached to them is which is what you feel terrible around, and shame breeds in silence. I'm taking Brene Brown there. And so I know from like some of the people I've coached and stuff who are in AA and have had addiction in the past, they're sober now, that they got so stuck in their secrets and the lying and the hiding. And it sounded really consuming. And I'm sure for you, if you were balancing jobs and little kids and all this stuff, it must have just been this like maze that you were stuck in.
Yeah.
Can you break it down a little bit for us?
Well, most addicts are like lying ninjas. Like we're so good at it. It's second nature. And that's such a weird thing that we all share, I hate it. It's embarrassing a little bit. Like, I'm just really good at lying. But I am really good at lying. And listen, my husband is a prince, and he never said, I can tell that's not true. He let me work things to the death. I had to lie in order to keep what I found to be the most shameful thing about me going. I had to lie about whether or not I was drinking. I'm one of those drunks who, even after a bottle of wine to myself, say, I don't know, I'm drunk, I don't feel a thing, and it's like instantly kicks in. So yes, it's exhausting to keep that kind of thing up. And that's part of the other reason why I knew I had to stop. I couldn't keep that level of organization up. What did I say? Yeah. What did I say to whom? How did I, if I didn't want to leave a trail, how do I pay for things in cash? How do I go to the liquor store, pay for it in cash, so not on a credit card so nobody knows? And, things like that. It was very tiring and absolutely second nature. And so to fight the urge to tell an untruth is also takes some energy, but well worth it. Obviously, it's the type of energy spend we want. So my life has gotten quite much easier since I don't have to keep track of the lies, for sure.
Yeah.
In AA, which it has positives and negatives. It's a program of rigorous honesty, and they keep saying that rigorous honesty. And I think it's just a wonderful motto, rigorous honesty. It's easier to live in rigorous honesty than like piecemeal honesty. So that's one of the things I think AA gets really right.
Yeah.
And by the way, not because it's morally better, to be honest. I don't know if it is always right, to be honest. There are times when maybe it's not necessary or not advantageous. But in terms of being easier on the alcoholic, it is much easier to be honest all the time.
Yeah. And so what I love about you and people that I speak to in Limitless is that they take their own personal experience and quite often hardships and dark night of the soul, and then they're still doing all this work on themselves in real time, but actually creating impact for others. So I want to hear a little bit more about how did Cat transform into like who she is now? Because I know your work has shifted a bit and you are way more focused on your podcast, Soberness, and the whole like movement around it. So I'd love to hear a little bit more of like, how did you make that shift and what does it mean to you from like a, heart-led purpose point of view?
So I have been a broadcaster for nearly 30 years and it's all I know how to do. And so when I stopped recovering in private, so I was on my own in recovery for 10 years. I just decided not to think about drinking, not to talk about it. I just shut it off, which of course is not really a good operating strategy. I mean, sooner or later we have to face our biggest shadows, right? But that's how I did it for the first 10 years. And then
you have a support. Did you were having support? You had support though, just you weren't talking about it publicly? Or
No
you just,
support. I just stopped drinking and that was that.
oh,
I didn't.
wow.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
I did the
That's
12 steps
huge.
because I was, I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to give any more of my life to alcohol. However, there's a term that I don't love used by Alcoholics Anonymous, dry drunk. When you
Yes,
just
I've heard
stop
that.
drinking, but you don't do the work.
You still want to
Well-
drink, you're still thinking about it. And yeah.
Well, you're just like not in recovery. You're not looking at the issues that led to it. I don't like the term because when drinking is your favorite thing to do in the world and you stop doing it, that's a lot of effort. That takes everything you have. And if that's all you can do, then that's all you can do. To also actively have to work on it and be a better person. Obviously it's better for you if you do some personal work, but maybe you just can't freaking handle it at that point. And I think that's okay to still be commended for not drinking, as opposed to having to carry this pejorative term, dry drunk. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. But that is what I was. And then I had this wild experience. I was working very hard on myself at the time, and I wasn't working at a job. So I was really with myself and the ocean 24 hours a day. And it was a lot. And while I felt like I was making great strides, and I was, it was a lot. And I woke up one morning to the sound of my own voice yelling relief, like I just needed some relief from myself.
Yes.
And so that was, 8 in the morning. Later in the afternoon, around 3:30, I was at my son's basketball practice, and the gentleman that I hadn't seen before or since, even though I'd been going to that practice, for months, started chatting me up, and I let him know about the weird morning I'd had. And he said, because somehow I had mentioned that I didn't drink, and he said, I think you might enjoy AA. And I was like, well, why would you think that? I'm on my own. I'm a lone wolf. He's like, I don't know, because you told me you woke up yelling and that you don't drink, and that he's like, AA is free and it's on Zoom. And anyway, I did not listen to him until I ran out of books on tape. I ran out of podcasts I was listening to. I sort of had nothing to listen to. And I'm like, alcoholics have great stories. Let me log on there. And then I did. And they had me at hello. I mean, I just couldn't believe you could be in a room where you say the most horrible things and people start cheering for you. It's like, that was my dream come true. So suddenly I'm like all in. And as that happened, I really was missing my career in broadcasting. I didn't know how to get back to it. And I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen. So I was at this crossroads, but recovery had started to become a big thing for me. And right around that time, I saw some celebrities that had interviewed on my old show were out talking about their sobriety. And I was like, well, if they're out there doing that and talking to other people, why shouldn't they be talking to me? I made my career as a celebrity interviewer. And so everything started to come together at that point. And I was able to bring the recovery work that was becoming so important to me. I was able to join that with my skill set of broadcasting and make it be for more people than just myself. And so that felt very important to me. I'm a pretty guilty person in general, in that I'm guilty that I am healthy. I'm guilty that I grew up in a house with a family that cared for me. I'm guilty that I was able to pay for college and braces, as opposed to some people that couldn't. And so I've always felt like whatever I do has to give back, has to sort of repay all this privilege I've been able to enjoy. And that's what broadcast always has been for me. And so when I realized that I finally had something to say again in broadcast, I was able to scratch that itch of sharing as well. And by the way, I don't think that you have to be a sharer with what you do to be worthy or worth it or have it be meaningful. I just like that component.
Yeah, it's not
because it assuages my guilt. Right. But I don't think that if you have a career where you're not doing that it means any less of your career. You're really only beholden to yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
And I believe some people's purpose is to create ripple through conversation or other means, and some is to not at all. They might just impact their inner circle, and that's beautiful.
or just their damn selves.
Yes, true. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm interested to hear now that you've been having more conversations through your podcast and with like celebrities and things like that, because celebrities at the core are just humans, just like everybody
That's right.
else.
Mm-hmm.
What are the patterns that you've seen that have driven quite a lot of celebrities to drink or to addiction? Because I know it's across all the poisons. And I know that, as you said, there's a huge amount now that are out there and sober, which is incredible as well. But what are some of the patterns that you've noticed through the conversations that you've been having?
Well, one probably not so surprising thing is that fame itself can become an addiction. And I think we're all susceptible to wanting praise and adoration. And, uh, but when that becomes your livelihood, things can get confusing, right? And if you're not being praised and adored and wanted, then maybe you're not making a living. So it gets intertwined, and that can be sticky. But I also feel of famous people in recovery that they are the bravest, because it's hard to talk about these things. Whether or not you look at addiction as a disease or a choice or weakness, it's not a choice, but it's, having addiction is hard. It is shameful. Nobody gets sober because everything was peachy. And so to sometimes have had those kind of flame outs in public and then have to get sober and rectify it in public, that's challenging. And to do it with your head held high and with honesty, I have a lot of respect for the celebs that come on my show to talk about what they've been through.
Yeah, absolutely. Because most of them are still in public facing roles
they
as
all
well.
Are,
yeah, they all are. Yeah, fascinating. Yeah, it's super brave. Super brave.
Yeah, man, I don't love it. Sorry, during the show, when I first started, like I always have ideas and just run with it. And then it's not until I'm sitting down doing them like, oh my God, what was I thinking? And, early on, my producer finally said, you need to talk about yourself more. You need to bring you to this, or else what are we doing? And I was like, I asked the questions. The whole reason I asked the questions is so I don't have to answer the questions, And listen, asking questions is a little bit the same as drinking. It puts a space between me and the world. If I can ask about it and separate myself from it, then I don't have to worry about feeling it so much. And so when I had to take away the barrier of not talking about myself and not adding myself into it, this thing got really real. And my sobriety took on a different flavor as well, because I was talking about it. I was talking about it out loud. And I generally, even though I'm in recovery groups, I don't really talk very much while I'm in them. I listen more. So now being forced to talk about what I do is, it's challenging. So, and I'm not famous. These people on my show are famous. So I really am now seeing how, anyway, just my respect for them has grown quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you use humor a lot in your show, and how do you find humor is helpful in these tricky, complex, dark topics like addiction?
I mean, it's like letting the pressure out, right? It's not quite as heavy, laughing like music, right? It's the very best thing there is. Like music, laughing, puppies, babies, like it's just the best stuff there is. And you can't not feel good while you're at it. And for me, it's funny over everything. I will take funny over everything. It brings people together. It's a point of connection. And if there's nothing else, at least it just makes you feel good. Even if you understood nothing that I've said, even if, or that one of my guests has said, if you've left laughing, then I feel like my job is done.
Beautiful, beautiful. And as you've gone over the years, tell me about your relationship with spirituality as your intuition has opened up. I'm sure you're more comfortable now being with yourself more than what you were. I mean, it's always an evolving journey. Tell me a little bit about your evolution and your connection with spirituality.
So I started working with a teacher right around the end of 2017. And I've worked with different spiritual teachers on and off throughout the years. And, but when I started working with this particular woman at the end of 2017, because of this huge change I was about to go through, losing my job and moving out to the beach, and it was a huge time of change. And through working with her and really taking time to tune back into myself, I started making huge strides kind of on a personal, taking a look at myself. If I'm really, I'll take away all the BS here. Yeah. I finally was able to sit and look at all the stuff inside that I had been avoiding. I was sure that what was going on in here was fetid and dark and awful. And lo and behold, a lot of it was. But because I was able to take a look at my human self and the different ways I'd been manifesting and showing up in the planet, I not suddenly, there was nothing sudden, I then became calmer and more available to tap into my spiritual self once I wasn't so busy running away from all that was me. That's Cat Greenleaf. I suddenly got, not again, I don't know why I keep saying suddenly, it's so funny because it does feel a little bit sudden. I had, 45 years to bring to it, or 47 years to bring to it. And then after a couple of years of really dedicated work, I did start to feel quite different. Okay. So between that and being able to really walk into myself and sit with myself, then we could really get moving. I remember there was at one point when I had a particularly heavy week of self-reflection, and I phoned my teacher and let her know that, like, wow, I really saw how arrogant and cruel or petty or whatever I've been. And her response was, oh, great. Now we can really get to work. So what has happened since is, in conjunction with time on the ocean, as a function of also just living out here by the beach where things are calmer and quieter, I have shifted into, like I said earlier, living between the worlds. And, no one's paying me right now. I have no one to impress. So no rules. And if I want to live between worlds, I can. And if I want to talk about it and it sounds crazy, I don't give a shit, because this is how it is. And this is how it's always been. And I've just been avoiding it for so long. And, I love it. I love living in a world that feels both physical and also unseen. But I also don't know how much of that is being sober. Well, the one thing that being sober does is it opens up a lot of time that I'm not sitting there being mad at myself or making up excuses for my drunk last night or whatever, so there I have more mental time.
Right. That was your life. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a way chiller existence right now. And I am able to spend different time with myself, but I just, I call it the slipstream. I think there's always this channel of energy running through the world, and you can choose to step into it, at which point things seem to go more smoothly in your life and you're able to pull on extraterrestrial help, not extra, just extra human. I don't mean alien extraterrestrial. I just mean, spiritual, your spiritual guides or whatever works for you. So I love being able to live like that and not make any apologies for it. And I think some of that is age as well. I'm 53 years old. I'm not trying to get hired by anyone. I'm not trying to get dated by anyone. I'm not trying to, I'm happy just being with myself and my family. And that type of ease has made it possible for me to move into this more spiritual way of living. I hope that doesn't sound so crazy, but
no,
that's what it is.
I mean, this sounds like there's choice, and you're making a clear choice to be in the slipstream, which sounds, and the way you describe a lot of that is a lot of what goes into what I call the show Limitless, because everyone's definition of limitless is different, but yours definitely, there was this liberation and freedom sort of vibe coming through, which is part of Limitless. Transformation can often happen in small intentional steps, rather than these big quantum leaps. As you kept saying, it's like, I made the transition, but we know it's like lots of little consistent steps rather than big ones. Based on your journey, Kat, what's one step our listeners could take away today to unlock their limitless potential?
do it for yourself.
Oh,
Meaning, if there's a change you think you, and I hate this word, should make, make sure you're not shoulding for someone else. If you believe it's something that speaks to your heart, do that thing. If it's for someone else, it won't sing. It can't be fully embodied. And, not through maybe choices I've made, but I have found myself in this position where I can now make choices that serve my soul and my calling. And God, what a difference. So do it for you. That would be my step.
Oh, I love that. That's one of my favorite. I ask this question of everyone. It's one of my favorite answers. So thank you. Okay, let's do some rapid fire questions and then we'll wrap it up. What's something you believed about yourself for years that you now know is complete bullshit?
That I was stupid.
Okay. What's a part of yourself that you used to hide, but now you choose to lead with?
I used to hide my spiritual connection. I used to think it made me weird and not fun at a dinner party. But now I know I'm the most fun at the dinner party because I can tell stories about things people can't see.
Well, you're totally attracting your people to you as well when you are showing up like that. I love it. I love it. What's the biggest misconception people have about you?
Oh, the biggest misconception that people have about me is that I hang out with famous people. I've been a celebrity journalist for so long that people think that like my phone book is just packed with celebs, and that's not the case. I'm like the service provider. I'm the help.
Yes, I love it. Okay. When you hear the word limitless, what are 3 words, like thoughts, feelings that evoke for you?
Possibility, choice, and chance.
Oh, I love it. Beautiful. And finally, Kat, if you're having a bit of a low day, you need to raise your vibration, what's your favorite song to crank?
Oh, great. That's a great question. My favorite song is probably Check the Rhyme by Tribe Called Quest. Listen, I was born the same year hip hop was born. I sort of stopped my musical taste when I was in the 90s. 90s hip hop is where I finally felt at home, and that's been my music ever since. So Check the Rhyme by Tribe is definitely up there, and I could give you a whole other playlist if you're interested.
Oh, I love it. That's what you use still in that genre, like all the time?
Yeah. Yes, all the time. I am definitely stunted growth. I've been wearing my hair in braids since I was a kid. I've been wearing combat pants every day since I was like 15 years old. Like I sort of landed on something and it's where I feel comfortable, and that's where it stopped.
Well, you must be loving right now then, Kat, because the 90s has made such a comeback. You're like stuck with it for this moment right now.
That's right. That's right. If you just stick to what feels good to you, it'll eventually come back around, right? But this is another thing about getting older. Like for the longest, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't wear braids. I'm an old lady. Why am I wearing braids? Or combat pants are out now. You just try to wear skinny jeans. Like, you know what? I tried it all. It didn't feel good. What feels good is this. When I close my eyes and picture myself, I have 2 braids and I'm wearing, camouflage pants. So it's like, why not just be who you are? Why not? Again, until someone's paying me to not be who I am being who the fuck I am.
I love it. Well, all the other stuff is just stories that we're telling ourselves about what we should be, like you said before, and they don't actually matter. Just be what you want to be.
It's all stories, right?
All story. All of it is story. The more I get older and study this stuff and coach this stuff, I'm like, we are just consumed by a billion stories, and most of them are complete and utter bullshit.
Yeah, yes. And isn't it exciting to know that this is where it becomes you create your own reality? Tell yourself
totally.
A different story.
That's where I am now. It's like, if you ditch the stories, we've got this whole new thing happening. Like your slipstream analogy was very resonant for me. So I loved it so much.
Oh, good.
Well, thank you so much for coming on Limitless Day, Kat. It's been super fun.
Thank you very much.
You're
great talking to you.
such a beautiful, radiant light. So keep sharing your story. I love that you're now doing what you're doing and not just being in the interviewer seat, because you've got a lot to share. So shining your beautiful light and wisdom with the world.
Thank you. Namaste. Good talking to you.
Okay, see you later. Thank you for tuning in to Limitless. If you enjoyed today's episode and love hearing the stories of courageous cycle breakers, I'd be grateful if you could leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Your feedback not only helps others discover the show, but it also amplifies our mission to unlock emotional freedom and true potential. Every review makes a difference in helping more people embrace their limitless life.